I think one area where I look back now and say we in the West or we in the United States didn't understand as much as we should have was just the nature of corruption in Ukraine. And certainly when I was there in the late 90s, we understood there was a lot of corruption, but we probably didn't grasp just how deeply it permeated, every layer of the political culture and what a problem that was going to be for the sorts of reforms that Ukraine had to make to build a truly open political system and a competitive market economy. So I look back and I say, probably in the 90s, we should have pushed harder on reforms. We should have been more blunt. My advice for the American administration was, it would be, the way I describe it in the book is what I call a tougher love approach. And that is, we have to push harder, we have to be more blunt in our expectations that Ukraine will implement reform, and we have to be more transactional in saying, look, we're prepared to provide this assistance, but only when you've done A, B, or C, and then make sure that A, B, and C are accomplished before we provide the assistance. Now, that's the tough part. The love part is, and I think this would be for the United States and the West, if you had a government in Kyiv that was prepared to push really fast on reform, it then would strike me as in the interest of the West to actually provide greater assistance. To the extent that we can get Ukraine more quickly to the place where it doesn't need assistance, but in fact then draws on investment and becomes a normal growing economy, that's in the interest of the West. So that would be my message here. And my message in Kyiv would be you have to do things that are going to be hard, and you have to do things that so far it appears that at Bankova they're not really prepared to do. And that means a serious anti-corruption effort. It means, and this is already required by the International Monetary Fund for further tranches of their program. It means serious pension reform. It means land reform. One of the accomplishments, I think, that we recorded when I was in Ukraine in the 1990s was on a number of the collective farms, we were able to go in and do land titling, where we could help the Ukrainians divide up a farm and say, and then tell somebody, here's a piece of paper, and it says from that bridge to that road to that tree, that is your property. And that was a big start, and it was fascinating. I guess it was probably in 2001, I recall flying into Kyiv, and this is the first time after I had departed as ambassador, and just looking down from the airplane as we were coming into Boryspil Airport, you could tell by the tilling patterns in the land that these large collective farms had been broken up into individual plots. But what hasn't happened is they haven't created a mechanism that allows the free sale of the land. And what that means is farmers can't put up land as collateral to get a mortgage to get more capital that they could then use to buy a tractor or better seeds or better inputs. This was the basis for American small farms in the early 1900s, was that ability to put up land for sale to get a mortgage gave them the capital to grossly improve their productivity and become successful. And although the land's been titled, 20 years later, if the farmers can't sell it or use it as collateral, it really inhibits their ability to draw on the capital that would make Ukraine hugely successful as an agricultural power.